What if Rengoku survived? So, let's get right into it. Everything in Season 1 happens exactly the same, and Tanjiro still wants to go on the Mugen Train because he wants to see if Rengoku knows anything about sun breathing. They board the train, fall asleep, and break out of their dreams in Lower Moon 1 Enmu's trap. Tanjiro and Inosuke go to kill Enmu, while Rengoku, Nezuko, and Zenitsu stay on board protecting the civilians. Then the train crashes, and now we're at the point with Akaza. So how do we make Rengoku survive? There are a few possibilities. One is that Rengoku accepts Akaza's offer, but if you guys want that version, let me know in the comments and I'll make that timeline next. Another possibility is that Rengoku awakens his Demon Slayer mark and pushes through until sunrise. That's extremely difficult because Akaza was holding back during their fight, and he never lets a Hashira survive unless they become a demon. The only real way Rengoku can unlock the mark is if Tanjiro already has his, because others can only awaken it after Tanjiro does. So, let's say while fighting Enmu and trapped in those dreams, Tanjiro's body experiences a life-threatening situation that triggers the mark. That way, when Rengoku fights Akaza, Tanjiro's mark gives him that slight power boost to survive. Akaza takes the battle more seriously, but it still ends with him fleeing because of the sunrise. Rengoku is still severely injured but alive. He's brought back to the Demon Slayer Corp to heal, marking the first major change in this timeline. Right after Rengoku heals up, Tanjiro, Inosuke, and Zenitsu train even harder. If you guys remember in the original timeline, Rengoku said all of them would be his Tsuguko, which I think is pretty cool. So, let's get into it. They all start serious training, and this gives them more time together before Rengoku announces that plan. I think Inosuke would train with the stone Hashira, since Rengoku is showing off his new Tsuguko to the other Hashira. Zenitsu would just train with whoever he can, but Tanjiro and Rengoku would mostly train together because their styles are somewhat similar. Of course, sun breathing is the most powerful and original breathing style in the entire series. Every other one is just an altered version of it, so Tanjiro training alongside Rengoku would make a lot of sense. Now, for the Entertainment District arc, I think Rengoku would go there with Tengen, Tanjiro, Zenitsu, and Inosuke, since they were hunting a strong demon, and Rengoku and Tengen are good friends, so two Hashira go on this mission together. Everything plays out mostly the same until Tanjiro versus Daki. Rengoku would jump in alongside Tanjiro to fight her, and with his strength, he'd slice off Daki's head easily, just like Tengen did in the original story. With both Rengoku and Tengen having their Demon Slayer marks, they'd be able to fight Gyutaro and Daki together. Tanjiro would match up well against Daki without having to go berserk or get bloody eyes since he has his mark, and Rengoku could keep up with Gyutaro alone using his flame breathing and his mark. The only issue here is the poison. Rengoku isn't immune to poison like Tengen, and even Tengen struggled with Gyutaro's poison, so that becomes a big problem. But with Tengen, Zenitsu, and Inosuke jumping in to help, they finish the fight much easier in this timeline. After the battle, Nezuko heals Rengoku, Tanjiro, Inosuke, Zenitsu, and Tengen. And this time, Tengen doesn't lose an arm, since there was another Hashira there. Tengen also unlocks his Demon Slayer mark during this fight. Next comes the Swordsmith Village arc. Tanjiro still needs a new sword, since his current one is chipped from training with sun breathing. Everything in this arc happens pretty much the same, because Rengoku doesn't have a reason to go. His sword is still in perfect condition. Then we move on to the Hashira training arc. Rengoku is a major part of this one, making sure everyone's forms and breathing techniques are correct. Fun fact, Rengoku actually trained Mitsuri in the past. She originally tried to learn flame breathing, but couldn't get the hang of it, which led her to create love breathing. So, Rengoku would definitely be involved in this arc, helping the other Hashira refine their techniques. Now, we get to when the master, Kagaya Ubuyashiki, dies at Muzan's hands, and everyone gets trapped in the Infinity Castle. In this version, Tanjiro and Rengoku team up to fight Upper Moon 3 Akaza, while Giyu joins the Upper Moon 2 fight with Shinobu, Kanao, and Inosuke. The Upper Moon 1 battle stays the same as the original timeline, with Tengen protecting the Ubuyashiki family alongside Rengoku's father. So, most things happen similarly to the original timeline, but now Rengoku is much stronger thanks to his Demon Slayer mark. He holds out long enough for Tanjiro to learn the selfless state and kill Akaza for good. Akaza remembers his human life and his wife, then chooses to end himself. In the Upper Moon 2 fight, Shinobu doesn't have to sacrifice herself this time. She said it takes 3 Hashira level fighters to defeat Doma, and now they have exactly that. Kanao and Inosuke together are basically 1 Hashira level. Shinobu is 1, and Giyu, being the 3rd strongest Hashira, is the 3rd. Together, with Shinobu's poison weakening Doma, Giyu's defensive water breathing, and Kanao's precise eyesight, they manage to kill Doma without losing anyone. The Upper Moon 1 battle still goes mostly the same, so Muichiro and Genya still die. That's the sad part, but at least Shinobu survives in this timeline. After After the Infinity Castle collapses, Zenitsu beats Kaigaku with his new 7th form, and Mitsuri and Obanai fight alongside Yushiro, the good demon, against the Biwa woman. Yushiro takes control of the castle, but Muzan notices, kills the Biwa woman, and forces Yushiro to eject everyone out of the Infinity Castle, setting the stage for the final battle, the Sunrise Countdown arc. Well, to be real with you guys, I think Rengoku would die here because he's such a protective person. He would throw himself in front of attacks to save the other Hashira. But for this timeline, we're going to say Rengoku survives. So I'm going to say most of the Hashira survive, except for Mitsuri, Obanai, and Gyomei. Mitsuri dies just like in the original timeline. Obanai dies on the front lines with Tanjiro, and the stone Hashira, Gyomei, also dies in this version. Everyone else helps defeat Muzan, just like in the original timeline, but this time with Rengoku's help. Shinobu survives and ends up with Giyu. They get happily married. Sanemi survives. Rengoku survives. So this version actually ends with a happy ending. I hope you guys really like this timeline, and let me know any other timelines you guys want me to do next. And make sure to watch this video, because this one's a really good one.